Welcome, Palm Beach baseball fans. We have a special guest with us tonight. We are going to be previewing the upcoming 7A regional semifinals between Jupiter and Harmony. We have Jupiter head coach Joe Giummule. Joe, welcome in.
Thanks for having me, Ant.
No problem, man. Let's get started a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about the process of how you guys got here. Your first year taking over at Jupiter, you had to kind of change some things around. You've had some up and down growing pains, kind of with the players getting used to your system. Talk a little bit about this season that you've had.
Well, it was a very challenging schedule first and foremost. I went outside, the dog's starting to bark. We've dealt with a lot of things: injuries, suspensions, some more injuries. That has a lot to do with some of our ups and downs, and of course, me being new and the guys getting adjusted to maybe my style of baseball or my expectations, things of that nature. But overall, I mean, we're 20-8. We're not 8-20. We're 20-8. We've beaten some very good teams. We've, played arguably the toughest schedule around. So I'm happy. I'm content. I'm ready to go into the second round of the playoffs.
Let's talk about this playoff format. Me and you talk off air a lot about this, but it seems to have worked this year. A lot of coaches didn't know what to make of it. We didn't know what to make of the rankings. And the feedback I've gotten is that everybody from fans to players to coaches through 1 week love it. And it seems like the ranking system is working itself out because most of the top teams in all these classifications have advanced. So what's your take on the new system, even just 1 week in?
Well, I was one of the few teams to play a doubleheader. I'm not quite. It worked for us, but at the end of the day, reevaluating things, I don't know if that was the best scenario for us. To bounce back, an hour after the game, out of routine, out of what we're used to doing. It's the important part of the season, and we play a 2:00 game. We haven't played a 2:00 game all year, and now we're doing it at the most important part of the season. So, this week we're going to play at 6:00. We'll stay the night and play the next afternoon so kids can get back to school. And we have a lot of kids that are testing ACE exams. So, Friday night we had prom. So thankfully we took care of business earlier in the week because, we didn't want to drive up to St. Cloud and play a Saturday afternoon game with 15 seniors that went to prom the night before. So I don't know. The whole point of this was so that the best teams move on, not the team that has the best night or a team with one good pitcher. So, it still remains to be seen, but, the best team should move on. It's a best out of three. Anybody can win any given day, but to win 2 out of 3, is a little bit more challenging for the teams that maybe aren't quite as talented as others.
Sure. So getting into your opponent this week, you beat St. Cloud last week. You're playing Harmony this week. They're highly ranked. They're a team out of Orlando that is up and coming, and as you guys are. So talk about that matchup. Talk about how you prepare for a team that you don't know too much about.
Well, I don't know too much about them, but the boys at Jupiter know them very well. They ended our season last year at Jupiter. The year before, Jupiter ended their season at Jupiter. So my boys in Harmony know each other very well, but it's uncharted waters for me. But, I've reached out to several buddies of mine that maybe have played them or in the area to get some added information, to help us prepare for this week. At the end of the day, we just got to play good baseball, fundamentally be sound, and we should be okay, and we should have a chance to win the series. If we do what we need to do, we should be fine.
Sure. So you're one of the coaches. There's a lot of different coaching styles, and you're one of the ones that really wants to be hands on during a game, and work strategies and little edges that you can get. And I've talked to coaches all day today about the difference of a one game playoff as opposed to these 2 out of 3s, where there's a lot more a coach can do to impact a series than just one game. Pitch counts, having guys come back 2 days after. There's a lot of different things that go into, games that get out of hand when you're pulling guys in and out of the off the mound. So, how much has we're only a couple games into it, but do you see the difference there in some of the effect that you can have on these series as a coach?
Well, it was part of the reason we played a doubleheader. You know, if we finished game one with a pitcher, he's able to start game two or pitching game two. If you finish a game with a guy and he's thrown more than 30 pitches, he's unavailable the next day. So, that was my mindset, is let's have all our guys ready for 2 games instead of, having to piece game two, uh, you know, uh, a little bit more, So that was my mindset, is, you know, I can throw several guys up to 105 pitches, in both, in one day. And then we had our number two was in the hospital, so he wasn't even available. He just got out on Friday, so we were a little shorthanded going into the series. So, listen, everything remains to be seen. Moving the chess pieces here and there. We're going to try and win game one. Whatever it takes to win game one is what we're going to do. And then when we get to game two, we're going to do whatever we can possibly do to win game two. I wouldn't say we're going to be saving anybody for a third game. Like, we want to play one day at a time, one game at a time. And that's going to be our mindset. Like, let's win game one.
And from a player perspective, I don't know if you've talked to your players about this. I talked to Jesse down at Berlin, and he was saying that their game one, they went up there and they got smacked around a little bit, and they came away thinking, wow, this team's maybe a little bit better than us. And then having the game two the next day and being able to regroup and get a couple innings in where they were now ahead of them, they kind of got their footing underneath themselves, and then they settled into the series a little bit. So is that one of the areas where these 2 out of 3s can make a little bit of a difference?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we played a doubleheader. We won 10-0 in 5 innings, and then we bounced back and played an hour later. And the next thing I know, we're down 1-0 in the 6th inning. Had we taken a day off and went back and talked about things a little bit more and prepared for the starter we were going to see, everything was just rushed with the doubleheader. And I think it took away some of the strategy or the coaching aspect of it. I mean, we played and then we played. It was just basically, we prepared for game one, and then we wrote the same lineup and threw another pitcher out there and played game two. And give St. Cloud credit. I mean, they played really well in game two. I mean, we were thrown out at the plate 3 times on Wednesday, so and they had some opportunities, but we were fortunate to take care of business and not have to worry about the Saturday game after prom. So yeah, I guess we're going to get into harmony this week and preparing for Wednesday this week. We won on Wednesday. We practiced on Thursday, and the boys had off Friday and Saturday for prom. So, they should be energized, rejuvenated, fresh, and ready to go tomorrow.
Well, you've had a great first season up there, Coach, and I wish you good luck against Harmony, and hopefully we'll be talking again leading into the regional finals next week.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and yeah, we're looking forward to it. I know the boys are looking forward to it, and may the best team win.
All right, Coach. Have a good one.
Thank you.